All right, so we started doing some of the wall paneling here today. Well, we started before today, and there's been an upload already on the blog about that by Jenna, about how that all works. But I thought I'd take you through a little bit of how this process works. So if you were reading the post, it talked about the layout and how we established a line with the transit on the wall, which isn't that uncommon of a practice for things that need accurate horizontal lines. People use them a lot still in setting cabinets and things, although most of the time they do it with a laser. But anyway, the purpose of these strips is twofold. The first one is that I have a thing about trying to minimize the number of holes that go into the wall. Things change and people make changes in how they want their house to look. So in the event that we would ever want to change this, which I don't foresee happening because we really like the look, but you just never know. We may want to do something different. By doing this strip system, I set it up so that when I put the paneling actually onto the wall, the paneling itself is fastened to the strips which go into the wall. And by the way, Ben Golden, if you watch this, I'm sorry I didn't take your call that I said I was going to take because you're calling me right now in the middle of filming this, so I'm going to push this. I'll call you back shortly. But anyway, so what I get to do now is I get to fasten my paneling to the strips so that should I want to take it off, all I'd be stuck with are the screw holes that take the strips right into the studs. So it's far fewer fasteners, and I don't have anything glued to the sheetrock, so I should be able to take this off and just spackle in holes and paint over without having to redo any texturing or anything in the future if we were to change this. But anyway, because of some irregularities in the foundation of the house and the settling over time, this corner ends up being about 2 inches lower than the corner by the front door of the house. So by the time you work your way around here, it just keeps dropping. So it drops across from corner to corner a little bit across the north wall of the house, and I'm standing right now in the southwest corner of the main portion of the house, and this being the lowest point. So because our line is level, the paneling changes height as it goes across. So anyway, originally I wanted to do a raised panel with rails and stiles and some moldings and things like that, but unfortunately, because of that huge amount of discrepancy, I'd end up with the bottom piece of woodwork, which you would see tapering 2 inches is a lot to height. So what we're going to be able to do then is use the vertical lines of this, attach the baseboard directly, and then a shoe molding onto the baseboard. And because there's nothing, because the only horizontal reference is clear at the top here, you'll never be able to see the discrepancy in the distance. So it's worked really well. If you're wondering, the strips here also, in addition to hiding the holes, allow me to build out the paneling a little further so I get a lot deeper look. I like sort of the heft of that. So I've got a 1/2 inch MDO plywood here, and then this is a product that's called All Prime. It's an engineered wood product, exterior grade car siding, which so far has been pretty good to work with. It's extremely light. I'm sure that over time it will probably ding up a lot, even more than actual like pine wood. Even though pine is quite soft, this is incredibly soft. But it's been good to work with. It works like wood. I can use my hand plane on it, all that stuff to touch it up. But it comes pre-primed all the way around with oil primer. It's definitely oil primer because it's quite aromatic. So anyway, we're making this video just to kind of take you through the process quickly of how the actual paneling itself goes down. So this first top nailer, which you can see, is set spaced down from my level line that I've established, and that'll be the height of the cap rail or chair rail, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it a cap because we've got enough dimension here that it's actually going to stick out and sit on top of this, as opposed to a normal chair rail, which could just be mounted to the wall without the panels. But anyway, so I went through here, I established my first board, set it plumb with a level, and then used my dividers to set a scribe line. I rough cut the scribe line with my table saw freehand and then touched it up with a plane. It's pretty darn tight. There were a couple of little irregularities that were kind of hard to get to, so I think by the time we paint it, it will be perfectly closed, but it's It's pretty darn close. And then from there, I've just set my panels in. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces, and then the 10th one here in my hand. Cut out for the outlet, got extra long hardware now to remount that, and then put the faceplate on when that's all done. That's pretty straightforward. It's a Time Groove product, and we've chosen to put the beaded side out. It has a beaded face and then a V-groove face, which is on the back, which I can't show you right now because I've got my hands full. But anyway, so when we get to here, I had to get a consultation from my expert on what to do, and so I want to take you through the process of doing this with real wood or with a heavier type of product. A lot of times what people will do is they'll case the door or window ahead of time, and then they'll just, if you use like a 3/16 or 1/4 inch paneling, they'll just die it right into the casing that's already there. I don't like that. I wanted something that was thicker, so that created some problems for how do I finish the trim around here. So what I've actually done is I've taken the last piece, and it worked out such that I was able to rip a 45-degree cut down the outside edge of one piece, and then I took actually the piece that I cut off and flipped it backwards, and then did a straight cut and was able to re-glue it so that I end up with this filler piece, which you can see is mitered, and it's glued. I put some brads in it also, but it fit up quite well. It's a very tight seam along there. I then touched it up on the table saw to make sure that it was nice, and then back beveled this with my hand plane. And so what we're going to do, I'll show you, I've been gluing these with wood glue to the MDO, and then I normally shoot some brads through the tongues into my little nailer strips. This one's going to be a little different. I'm going to glue it to the MDO, and then use some 8-penny finish nails here that are going to go into this extension jam that I put on ahead of time, which is made of poplar. So I'll kind of take you through this process. So I'm going to lay a bead of glue here on this first, because I can set this upside down. And I've already fitted it and touched it up so that I know it's going to sit where I want it to sit, because that's really always the biggest challenge. And I'm going to try not to be ridiculous with the glue, but not stingy either. So down there. Okay. I'll let that sit. And then I'm going to put some glue onto the MDO here. Normally I just run horizontal little spots, but since this is the end, I've got a little bit more surface area that I can cover. And I'm going to use my 18 gauge brad nailer here and shoot some little 1-inch brads into this. It doesn't need to be anything super crazy, because those 8-penny finish nails that are in there are going to do most of the holding at the end. So I slide this in and tuck it up tight. Make sure the top is seated where I want it. So I'm going to start by shooting some brads in here, and this will be covered by that cap clear up there at the top. And get this down where I want it. And again, there's nailing all through here, so I don't really have to be too picky on this particular piece as to where the fasteners go. Tuck that in, make sure that it's all the way seated. Go in here on the flat face panel. A couple intermediary, or maybe just one. That'll probably be all right. Okay. And then I'm going to go through here, and you'll see I've already set my finish nails in there. That'll be fairly. Try to be fairly light-handed with this. As I said, this all-prime material is quite soft, so if I put a hammer mark in this, it will be a bugger to get out. In fact, there probably won't be any getting it out. So strike gingerly here. Wondering about this bottom here. Just have a piece of 1 by 8. That is acting as a spacer for me, so that when I pull that out, I'll be able to run my hardwood flooring. It'll just fall behind that, or excuse me, so that my hardwood flooring will fall right under the paneling, so that I can ensure I've got my 1/2 inch of clearance, which in this case will be 3/4 of an inch. And then I can come through here and clean up. I think I've got a putty knife over here. And I can clean up my little bit of extra glue squeeze out, which is just fine with me. I want to make sure that I got it in there. And it looks like I could add maybe one more nail right in there. Draw that in just a little bit tighter. I pre-drilled those other ones. I don't think this is soft enough, and since it doesn't have a real grain, I'm not tremendously concerned about it splitting on me. So we'll set one more right through here. Extra glue off there. All right, and there it is. You can see this isn't actually held in there, it's just a spacer. So there's our paneling returned back into the extension jamb. Then there'll be a cap rail, an under trim, a baseboard, and then my side casing here will just sit right on top of the handrail. So we'll keep you posted as we get more done.